Well, hello and welcome. You have found a very special crafty video. I'm Brandi Barnard at brandistamps.com, and this is an episode of the Great American Stampin Show. That means that this is a competition. You can watch my video and then watch my 3 competitors. Their links are in my description, and you pick the one you like best by clicking like. I was the winner last time. That's why I'm wearing my crown. So exciting. We did fun folds last time and I featured a waterfall card with pizza. Yum. And so if you didn't get a chance to check out that video yet, go back and check it out. It's in my playlist and in my list of videos. And there were a lot of fun fold options. So thank you so much for all the votes. I was very excited to be crowned the winner. Can't wait to see who the winner will be this time because we have a really special kind of a different episode for you today. We are featuring the Earthen Textures Bundle, and each of us have created 2 cards using the bundle. So you'll have to tell us which 2 were your favorite by clicking like on the corresponding video. And there are a bunch of you out there who are going to be stamping along with us. That means that you ordered a kit from me or one of the other Great American Stampin' Show girls, and you have all the stuff so that you can make the cards right along with us. I can't wait to see how you like it. Let us know in the comments how it went, what we can do better for next time, because I do think there will be a next time. Now, with that being said, please make sure that you are on my email list. The link is right in my description, or on the email list of one of my competitors. We will make sure and let you know next time it's time to do a stamp along and you can grab the stuff and stamp along with us. Now, if you don't have the kit and you'd like to try these cards, check out in our descriptions. You'll find the measurements to make these cards, and we would love to know what you come up with. Now, I think it's time we get started stamping, don't you? Here is the Earthen Textures stamp set, which we will use today to do all of our cards. And we'll also want the Earthen Textures die set, which has a lot of coordinating pieces. You can cut out some of these different pieces, and there are some other little sprigs and things in it too. And so if you're stamping along with us, pull those out. And for my first card, this is the kit. It has these Azure Afternoon pieces in it and a bit of Calypso Coral. So when I prepared your kits for you, I gave you every single little piece that you're going to need. And I've got some fun layers going on here. So let's just start by starting to assemble some of our layers. I'm going to grab my Calypso Coral card front layer here and just stick it right on the front of this card, which opens from the top edge. So I've got a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of Azure Afternoon, the 1/2 inch smaller. And so it kind of layers on the front of this card with a little 1/2 inch edge. I've also embossed this one with the 3D cane weave folder. And then at first I just laid it on the card front here. It kind of looked like this, which was cute, but I wanted a little more contrast. So this layer of Calypso Coral just gives that 1/8 inch edge. It's very, very tiny. And I'm going to attach this piece using mini glue dots. Anytime I'm attaching something that's embossed, I like to use mini glue dots. You need something that can sink right down into the embossed edges of your paper and still hold to the paper that you want it to hold to. So let's get that one lined up. See how it's just the tiniest little edge that it produces, but it really makes a difference. Now in your kit, I've given you a piece of white, which will layer on the inside, but we're going to do just a little bit of stamping on that. So let's pull out this little sprig from the stamp set. It has kind of a long stem. It still fit onto the D block for me. There are a couple pieces in the set that are kind of similar, but this one is kind of the longer, skinnier one with the bud tips. I'm going to use Calypso Coral, and on the corner of this piece, which is going to go on the inside, I'm just going to stamp once with the full strength, and then I'll come down and add a couple more. So I end up with kind of a layered look there that'll be on the corner. And then I like to do my envelope to match. So let's pull that in. And you'll just go to the lower left corner and do pretty much the exact same thing, okay? While you have this stamp out, come over to your long skinny piece of just basic white here. And this is actually not long enough to stamp the whole entire piece. You just want the top and part of the stem, so make sure you get that much and let it hang right off the edge. Do a nice pressure stamp so you get everything all over, and we are going to die cut that one. So set that aside. And now let's hop over to this cute little layer. This is part of the designer paper. We gave you a little pack of this paper if you're stamping along with us. What you're gonna want here is a piece that is 3.5 by 1.5. So pause and cut that out, 3.5 by 1.5 from your kind of Calypso Coral backgroundy one. And then we're going to do a bit of stamping on it. First of all, I want one of these sprigs to really show just kind of across the whole thing. So I'm going diagonal and making sure I get the top of this piece up in the upper left corner. And then from there, I'll just do a few other ones. So let's bring one in this way. I'll double stamp that. So I stamped it twice without re-inking. We'll come and pop another one, maybe kind of up this way. And let's get a bit down here too. Okay, so just a little bit of background stamping here on this layer. And then before we put this ink away, let's go over to this little skinny piece here and stamp with gratitude. So there's just this little stamp that says with gratitude. Now this is a cling mount stamp, which means that it's the red rubber. You cannot see right through it when you're stamping. And so if I'm stamping something and I know for sure that I want it to be straight, I'll come first to my grid sheet and I'm stamping what I think is straight. I'm lining up right up on the lines here. Ooh, and it did really well. So it stamps just the way I think. But if it had gone like a little upward, then I would know to tilt it down and so forth. So that's how I test it first to make sure I have a better chance of stamping it straight on the real piece. And just come right down here and stamp. Okay. And then on the left end, we're going to do a little bit of paper snip just to make kind of a little V banner tip here. So I'm going to come in with the point of my paper snips and I'm cutting inward like about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. And then I can see the top of that line that I have cut and I'm just going to go from the corner to the top of that line and I'll do it from each side. I have the worst time trying to freehand these. Just coming in and cutting a V is just not in my skill set. So I like to use that little method. Okay, so now I have my with gratitude. We're going to cut this one out with a die. So here is the matching die. I can see that it can line up here. And I'm going to use a Post-it note to help me hold this in place. So let me get it just right. This is worth a few moments of fuss just to make sure you can cut it out just right. So I'm going to put this across to hold it right in place while I'm rolling. And I can even put a second one up here. You could use washi tape for this if that's easier. And then I can let these stick down right to my platform as well. So I'm going to go roll these through. Okay, let's see how that went. Free those up. Perfect. Okay, we'll set that aside. I also want one more die for this card. So go to the little die piece that's in the Earthen Textures set. This just looks like a little bunch of grass and it makes such a cute accent pretty much to any card. So this is a piece of the holographic foil paper that was in our catalog. It's still live today, so you can probably still grab this. I don't really need my Post-it notes because I don't need this to hold in any certain spot, so I'll just roll this through my Big Boss machine. Okay, and here is our cute little grassy piece. All right, one of the other gifts that our Stamp Along people received was the set of ribbon. It has the pink, yellow, and blue. And on this one, we are going to use the Azure Afternoon or the blue ribbon. And you're going to want a 20-inch piece. Trimming that off. I've got this piece which I want to place on the inside. Use some of my Seal Plus. I just like to do a row down each side. I'm laying the whole card on my grid sheet. I am getting some mini glue dots onto here since I'm sticking to an embossed piece. I'll put 6 of these on. 1 in each corner plus 1 about halfway down the orange layer. And then I'll just come right over here and look, okay, there's 1 inch up, and I'll just give it about the same space on the right and the left. That's where that one's going to go. Now let's come in with our ribbon. The ribbon will tie right around here, something like this. So we'll start by tying a knot, just 1 end went under. Now the one that's pointing downward, I am going to make a loop out of that one. Now we'll wrap behind. This one that I had to the side, I'll now pull it to the other side. Kind of like this. I want this bow to end up slightly up and down, like this. Okay, we can trim this up the way we want it later. Now I'll bring my With Gratitude in here. I want it to go close to my little Calypso edge here and also tuck under the ribbon a little bit. So let's adjust where this is landing. Scoot it down a little bit maybe. Get it just right to how you like it. And then a couple of mini glue dots would be good on this too. It's just kind of a small piece, so that'll make it easier to manage. And one little trick I sometimes use, we'll put this on the edge of my paper snips to help line it up. So we want it to go under here, about this far down, something like this. Once you've got it where you want it, you can push. Okay, and then we'll slide this little sprig in here behind the bow. But let's put a dimensional up here first. So we're going to slide the whole stem behind the knot. I want the sprig to land kind of up in here. I definitely want it to go up onto the blue part and kind of cover up any intersections of the white here. And then I don't want this stem sticking down and showing down below. So I'm going to come in with my paper snips and trim that off at an angle. Probably about a little more than a ½ inch coming off there. And then this one is going to come in front. There's one end that has more sticking upwards, so let's make that the upper end. And I'll just use a mini glue dot right about in the middle of here. And then we can come in. Again, we want it to kind of land right below the knot, almost as though the knot were holding it. We'll have it, the ends come down here, and then those ends come up over on this side. We can even pull these a little bit so that they curl forward just a little. Okay, and at this point, if you want to, you can adjust how your bow looks, and this is a good time to hide a mini glue dot too, is you're going to grab one on the tip of your paper snips and just come right down there where you want that knot to stay. You can kind of get it to help you out. You can trim those ends. I actually like how mine ended up, so I'll leave them right about like that. And then our finishing touch is going to be some of the iridescent gems. Those who are stamping along received a whole package of these to play with, so you'll use some on your cards today, but you'll have lots and lots to use later as well. I'm just going to come in with the tip of my snips and get one that's kind of medium. I want it right on this Calypso Coral paper with a baby one next to it, right about like that. And then just kind of snip under it, and so the glue is going to hang on to your snips a bit, and then you can bring these over and rest them down. You put the gem where you want it and then just grab your fingertip and hold it down, pull the scissors out, and that gets your card all finished. Should we give it a moment in the spotlight? Ooh, ah. I love how this turned out. The orange and the blue tones are nice complements on the color wheel. And so often when you see this stamp set, you see it used with neutrals, all the browns, all the terracotta tones, all the olive tones. And so it was fun to take this particular card in a completely different direction and pull in this unexpected Azure Afternoon. Okay, let's go for card number 2. For my second card, I went for one of my top favorite colors in the entire Stampin' Up! Offering, and that is soft seafoam. On this card, one of the things you're going to do is pull out designer papers and cut a bunch of pieces that are 1 by 4. Now, if you're using the Delightful Florals paper, like those who are stamping along, I did 2 that have these tiny little flowers. By the way, that's the same coral that I used on my other card, so it's just the other side of that one. And then I used all 3 of these. This is kind of a peacock, a berry burst, and a bubble bath tone, I think. And they're all just kind of this textured look. It's different than using cardstock of that color. And so those are all from some of the big flower pieces. So we want a total of 5 pieces of designer paper, and 2 of them for this card are the same. And then I've got just a regular card base that's 8.5 by 5.5 and scored halfway. And then I have a layer to go on the top that's just a 1/4 inch smaller. So it's 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to start by doing a bit of stamping on this layer. I'm pulling out my Parakeet Party ink pad. This, I often use tone on tone, but the Parakeet Party is a brighter green. So all my stamping, I'll just make sure and go a little bit lighter with it so that it looks lighter on here. And I'm pulling in my blending brush. These are the ones that are so super soft. They're fun to touch and feel. We included one of these in our stamp along packets. So if you're stamping along, pull out your little blending brush, and we're going to come right in here, tap right on the ink pad so that you pick up some color. But then instead of going directly to your project, you're going to start on your grid sheet, and you're going to get, like, there's always a harsh lot of ink right at first. And then after that, you can swirl in a lovely light way. So always tap, tap on your ink pad, and then start on the grid sheet and just kind of move onto the regular cardstock. So we'll do that again. Tap, tap on the ink pad, start to swirl on the grid sheet, and just bring that swirl right over on to your cardstock. And I'm just darkening up the edge, and I'm purposely coming from the grid sheet right onto the cardstock because that gives it kind of a sharper edge. And when we layer this on, you'll really see that contrast of the edge that we've created. This one is the finest of all. It's just really just feather light little branches. It's also kind of a taller, longer one. And I'm going to ink up. This stamp is so like fine that it ends up not looking very dark when you stamp it. So I'm pressing once and then twice to get a couple of green branches here. I'll do maybe one more kind of up in here. And maybe we can allow kind of one more down here. Now let's rotate and get some going on the other edge as well. This time I'll do a couple up top. Go one down here that really shows, and then just a few, a lot lighter through here. So we're going to decorate this layer and just want these little branch tips to show along the outer edge. While we've got this stamp out, let's go ahead and jump over to this piece. This is kind of a bigger white piece. It almost looks like it would go inside the card, but this one we are going to do some die cutting from it. So let's grab this image and just stamp it kind of off to one side here. So we'll be die cutting that out. And while we've got our envelope handy, we'll just give it a little stamp too. I often do the same thing, lower left corner, stamp twice, just so that you get maybe even 3, so you get lots of little branches going. So here is the die cut that perfectly lines up with this particular little branch image. So we're going to do something similar to what we did on the other card, and I'll just grab my same 2 Post-it notes and make sure that we can get this perfectly lined up. So I start with the stem part. It's got a really skinny little trough where the stem shows. So we're going to make sure we've got that and stick it down. And then right up here on the branches, just make sure we're catching all those tips and they're going up into the spaces. And we'll attach that. Now the other die that you're going to cut on this same piece, you know, I got this piece here and I've stuck to one side of it. It's a vase die. So it's this long skinny die and it's got kind of a lip on one edge of here. We're not doing stamping first. We'll just bring it right over here. This will cut right through the Post-it note, but if you want, you could sneak it under. So we're going to cut these 2 pieces both from this piece of basic white. So let's go over to the Big Boss. Okay, let's see how we did. So now we've got our cute little leaf piece. We'll lay that one over here, little branch. And here is our vase, only we're not going to use it as a vase. We're just going to make a label out of it. We're going to stamp on the scratch paper first and then get a few branches here. Rotate it around, scratch paper first, a few branches here. Again, scratch paper first, and just a couple right over here. So they're all pretty light. I've got a little bit of the kind of green branch pieces. And now I've got my Blackberry Bliss ink pad, and you always know just what to say and do. So I'm going to ink this up. I'm making sure that it stamps right where I think it's going to, and straight. This one did really well too. Great news. This time when I stamp, I will not stamp in the center. I'm going to veer closer to this edge. That way we can tie a bow over here. So here are my words. Here's the center. Come over closer to this side. And just like that. So we've got our regular card base. We have this cool piece that we decorated up. We want this to go on the card front. So I'll just, okay, I'm getting that glued down, just right centered on the card front. And then I'm going to hop over here with some of my cute little designer paper strips and just start placing these. So I'm flipping my 3 solids over, getting some adhesive on. I'm going to do this bubble bath, this lightest one at the bottom. Let's put it almost touching here, close to the edge here, and then a slight diagonal so it lifts like that. This dark one, let's come a little bit further back up here and let it touch that way. So same angle, got 2 that are almost kind of parallel. And now I'll jump in with this one. Let's have it come in. I want this end to be almost straight there, so something like that. And then we'll add the 2 flowered ones, which will create some real interest here. So one, I'll kind of tuck it behind the here, let it go right over there. Definitely want a green V to show right in here. Just starting to get kind of a messy look on these. Definitely don't want them to look purposefully placed, which is why I'm placing them so purposefully. Okay, so see I'm creating kind of a little wedge here with the 3, and that's about how I want my papers placed. I also want to do a bit of ribbon. So let's go to our fun little pink ribbon. This has a cute silver edge to it. We're going to use approximately 10 inches. And then we're also going to bisect this ribbon up the center. So you want nice sharp scissors to be able to do this. And you do not have to stress, it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect, as we're also going to fray it once we get it across. But I just kind of slip it through my fingers and let my scissors follow an approximate center line here. And then you'll have two cute pieces of half ribbon that are a bit more narrow, but also they'll look a little bit rougher because you'll have that frayed edge. This is a fun trick to get more out of any ribbon. Okay, so now just grab one half of it and use your thumbnail to sort of catch a few of the threads. You see how I did that? And now I've got the ribbon that I want right here. So it's got a little frayed edge to it. Remember how this was a vase? It actually is a vase die. So it has this little lip at the top, which is going to help us measure it up so you've got it about halfway. Put a glue dot right on the halfway mark, about there. And then lay that on the back of here, just so that you won't have to fuss too much as you tie it. It'll actually also be glue dotted back there. So now I want to tie a bow. Let's first do a knot. So it's going to go on right about like this. And whichever one is lower, so this is my lower one, I'm making the loop from that side. And then I always wrap behind, not in front. And then that one that I had started to, it was on the left at first. Now it's gonna go right, because you're basically crossing those over as you make the knot. As I've watched people struggle with the perfect bow, even with my tips, I saw that was one thing they were doing, is trying to keep that original loop, which was here, on this side. Let it switch sides as you cross over and pull. Okay, so now we want this to lay just not too perfect, I guess. The fringes show really cute in the little loops. We'll just kind of get that how we like it. Let one of these ends kind of come upward maybe. And now I'll use a couple of dimensionals to attach this. Let's do one here and one here to start. Halfway on this flowered one, a little bit on the pretty peacock one. Now we'll stick this little stem right behind here. That's why I didn't put a glue dot there yet, or a dimensional, because I wasn't sure yet how far I wanted it down. So let's put a couple of dimensionals up top here. Probably right about where it starts branching off is where I want it to hit the corner of my tag. And I do want this stem to show right down into here. So that's where it'll get the lift up here. And now we can come back under here and attach everything. And one right under the tag, kind of making a nice little stack. I've got tag, glue dot, branch, glue dot, and then the papers that are underneath. And then you can always sneak a glue dot under the middle of your bow too. Once you love how it looks, make sure it stays just like that by trapping a glue dot under there. And then our finishing touch on this card, I want the smallest ones for the most part, and I am going to use, I think, about 6 on here. So let's start way up here. We'll put one up by that branch, one kind of right down here by the bow. I'll jump one size up to the medium ones and put one over here. Okay, let's go back to the tiny ones. We'll put one on the tag again, just up high. One down off the tag, maybe down here. There's really no wrong way to do this. These guys look cute, no matter where you put them. So this one, it's almost like someone went, just dropped them. Got them a little bit everywhere. And that is my second card. Let's bring its envelope in here. There we go. And now we'll bring the other card in too so that they can hang out together in all their glory. I'm loving the colors on these. They turned out so good. They're just so fun and bright compared to the other things we had seen done with this set. So we tried to give it a kind of a revamping by using cool, bright colors with it. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you had fun stamping along with me. Here are the 2 cards that we got to make. I hope mine were your favorite. If they were, give me a thumbs up. And I just love how we were able to do something kind of different with this bundle. So I hope you had a fun time watching. Make sure you are subscribed so that you won't miss a single thing. We have lots more fun videos coming, and I will see you next time. Bye!